Hello there again. There we go. I'm reacting to what if Mace Windu survived from the Star Wars Kingdom. Again, I'll put that in the description below. But the thing, there's two parts, so what I'm gonna say in part one, I won't be saying in part two, because I'm gonna put them together and make into one long video. But again, so whatever I say in this part won't be in part two. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And again, I'll have the Star Wars Kingdoms channel in the description, so you can check out the original video from their channel. And don't forget to check out my reaction playlist too to see more of my reactions. And again, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And let's get started with part 1 and 2. Right now, this is part 1, and I'll be back with part 2 later. Let's get started.
Mace Windu survived. What if Mace Windu survived? The Jedi Master was known for his duality in the Force, the light and the dark. As he fell to the streets of Coruscant, the dark side took over. He was angry at what Anakin had done, and he blamed himself for the downfall of the Jedi. It was the dark side that gave him the power to survive. In his descent, he managed to land in an open cockpit speeder. The pilot, caught off guard, was frightened, causing him to lose control and crash. Mace, fueled by a singular purpose, kill Palpatine, emerged from the crash. Mortally wounded, he made his way into the depths of Coruscant and found an illegal medical practice where he would receive cybernetics and a bacta tank to heal himself. The Jedi were wanted targets now, and soon Mace would be turned in by one of the doctors. This only fueled his anger. Fighting his way out of Coruscant, he made his way to a remote planet in the Outer Rim where his true plans for revenge would start to take shape. Before we continue, I'm about to reveal the first big giveaway for the channel, and trust me, you don't want to miss out. To be qualified, all you have to do is subscribe and turn on the bell notifications. But for now, back to the story. Mace Windu would spend some time on this remote planet, but his focus was clearer than ever: to eliminate Palpatine and, with him, the Empire. On this planet, there was an abandoned Jedi temple that was in use during the High Republic. It was covered in vines and looked like it hadn't been touched in ages. Mace decided to explore it, hoping to find anything that can help him with his mission. As he journeyed through the temple, Mace discovered it wasn't entirely deserted. There were signs that someone or something had been here recently. He found old training rooms, libraries filled with ancient books, and finally, in the heart of the temple, a chamber that housed a single object on a pedestal: an old Jedi holocron. This wasn't just any holocron. It was rumored to contain a map of prophesized Force sensitives that have existed and that will exist. The thought that there could be others out there, potentially allies in this fight against the Empire, sparked a new hope in Mace. Mace managed to activate the holocron. It projected a map of the galaxy, pinpointing locations where these prophesized Force sensitives were or would be. Some were in the most remote corners of the galaxy. Others were in plain sight within the Empire's reach.
Why does holocron look more like a, that holocron looks more like a, what is it? Come on. You probably know what I mean from oh yeah, the, one of those Infinity Stones, yeah, from Thanos and from Loki and Thor. And also going into the galaxy. Why did this look more like a one of those Infinity Stones? More than a holocron. Yeah, it looks more like an Infinity Stone than it does a holocron. Come on. A holocron for the Jedi. But you get the idea. Looks more like an Infinity Stone than it does that.
Pinpointing locations where these prophesized Force sensitives were or would be. Some were in the most remote corners of the galaxy. Others were in plain sight within the Empire's reach. Mace Windu would meet the first Force sensitive, a young man about 20 years old. working as a miner on a planet exploited by the Empire. When Mace confronted him, the young man acted as if what Mace was saying was beyond belief, claiming he had no knowledge of the Force. But Mace's patience was thin. Without warning, Mace swung his fist at the man, who, with surprisingly quick reflexes, dodged the attack. It was clear he was attuned with the Force. His ability to evade Mace's blows was no mere coincidence. Impressed, yet undeterred, Mace intensified his assault, his attacks gaining in ferocity. His punches began to connect, forcing the young man to stumble backwards. Mace advanced, and in a moment of desperation, the young man used the Force to push Mace back. A smile crept across Mace's face, not out of malice, but from the realization of this young man's potential. He pursued him relentlessly, and with a final move, he knocked him down, effectively ending the confrontation. Mace then extended his hand, offering to lift the young man to his feet.
You have the Force within you. You've been using it, perhaps without understanding, but it's there, and it's strong.
The young man, panting and bewildered, accepted Mace's hand and stood up, facing the Jedi Master.
I don't understand. The Force? Like in the stories?
Yes, like in the stories, and much more. It's what connects all living things. It's what gave you the ability to evade my attacks, and to push me back. You have a gift, and with the right training, you could use it to make a difference.
The young man looked around the desolate Empire-controlled mine that had been his life, then back at Mace. The idea of a different path, a chance to change his destiny and possibly the destiny of others, sparked something within him.
But what can I do? The Empire, it's too powerful.
Alone, perhaps, but together, with others like you, we can fight back. We can restore balance and bring hope back to the galaxy.
The decision wasn't easy for the young man, but the encounter with Mace Windu had altered the course of his life. The Force, a concept he had only heard of in whispered tales, was real, and it was a part of him. With Mace's guidance, he could learn to harness it, to stand up against the tyranny of the Empire. And so, with a mixture of fear, excitement, and determination, the young man agreed to follow Mace Windu, to learn the ways of the Force, and to join the fight to restore freedom to the galaxy. This was the beginning of Mace Windu's new Jedi Order, a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. With his first apprentice,
Now here's the thing. Is Mace Windu gonna stay the old way, or is he gonna change some things in the Jedi Code? Because what he did in the last one caused the downfall of his order. So I'm gonna guess he's most likely. I think he's gonna change some things in the Jedi in this new Jedi Order. Change some small things in the code. Allow attachments, I'm going to believe. So that way, you can have these feelings. But he'll just train them how to not let it control you, but you control them. The feelings, I mean, not the people. But how, Anakin, how his feelings on Padme controlled him. In this Jedi Order for Mace Windu, the new one, that he's making, I'm gonna guess that he's gonna train people how in this Jedi Order, I'm gonna believe that Mace Windu is gonna train the people how to control their feelings instead of how Skywalker's feelings controlled him. That's what I'm gonna guess. Or he might just stay the same and be the same as last time. But I don't know.
by his side, Mace Windu embarked on a mission, not just to teach the ways of the Jedi, but to forge a new path that would be essential in defeating the Sith. Mace knew all too well the challenges that laid ahead. The traditional methods of the Jedi Order had failed to prevent the rise of the Sith and the fall of the Republic. To succeed where the Order had failed, Mace believed the new Jedi must embrace a broader understanding of the Force, one that included mastery of both the light and the dark sides.
Alright, so it's similar to what I said. I believe that Mace Windu probably changed some things about it, but no. He changed most of it. Instead of being the same one, instead of training the one, he's training both light and dark now. Something completely different from the original order. Alright.
David, intrigued by Mace's vision, dedicated himself to the teachings with an eagerness that impressed even the seasoned Jedi Master. Mace taught him the principles of the Force, how to wield a lightsaber, and the importance of maintaining balance within oneself. But the most challenging and controversial part of David's training was learning Vaapad, the 7th form of lightsaber combat that Mace himself had mastered. Vaapad was more than just a fighting style. It was a state of mind that required the user to channel their own inner darkness and use it against their opponent without succumbing to it. It was a dangerous path. However, Mace believed with the proper guidance and a strong will, David could master Vaapad without falling victim to the dark side. As David's training progressed, Mace saw in him the potential for a new kind of Jedi, one who could navigate the complexities of the Force in ways the old order never could. Together, they practiced, sparred, and meditated, pushing each other to new heights. Mace shared with David not just the techniques of the Jedi, but the lessons he had learned from his own failures and triumphs. The training was rigorous, pushing David to his limits, but it also forged a deep bond between master and apprentice. Through the lens of Vaapad, David learned to confront his fears and desires, using them as tools rather than shying away from them. It was a perilous journey inward, but with Mace's guidance, David began to understand the true nature of the Force, not as two opposite sides, but as a single entity with a spectrum of energies to be harnessed. As David grew stronger, so did his resolve to stand against the Sith. He understood that the galaxy needed protectors who were not bound by the old dogmas, but who were willing to explore the full potential of the Force to bring about balance and peace. Over the span of 2 years, David transformed under Mace Windu's tutelage, embodying the strength, resilience, and balance between the light and dark sides of the Force that Mace had envisioned. His progress exceeded Mace's expectations, signaling that it was time to broaden their impact. Utilizing the map from the ancient Jedi holocron, Mace and David set out to find 2 more apprentices, individuals who can be capable of enduring the rigorous and unconventional path of training they offered. As time passed, Mace's group of Jedi, trained in his ways, grew both in numbers and in strength. They became a formidable force. During this time, Mace experienced a profound connection in the Force with Master Yoda, one of the few surviving members of the old Jedi Council. Yoda, sensing the turbulent path Mace was on, issued a warning. He cautioned that the approach Mace was taking, training his students in both the light and the dark sides of the Force, carried great risk. It endangered not only the lives of his students, but the very balance Mace sought to protect. However, consumed by his desire for vengeance against the Empire, Mace chose to continue on his path, believing it was the only way to defeat such a powerful enemy. Tragedy struck when the very risk Yoda warned of came to fruition. One of Mace's students, who had shown great promise, became seduced by the dark side's power. Feeling restricted by Mace's teachings and desired more power, the student betrayed the group. Striking a dark bargain with the Empire, he revealed the location of Mace's fledgling Jedi Order in exchange for a position as an Inquisitor, one of the Empire's feared Jedi hunters. The tension was palpable as the Empire descended upon the secluded planet. A force, led by Darth Vader himself, flanked by a legion of stormtroopers. The air crackled with anticipation of the immediate clash, one that could determine the fate of Mace Windu's fledgling Jedi Order. Mace, standing firm at the forefront of his assembled group, imbued them with a sense of purpose and unity.
Our time is now. Together we stand a chance. Together we can win.
As the standoff commenced, Vader, clad in his opposing black armor, halted his advance, his gaze fixed on Mace. The sight of Windu, alive and defiant, was a shock to the Sith Lord, who had long presumed him dead. The air between them was charged with a history of conflict and a profound disturbance in the Force. Mace, undeterred by the sight of the dark figure before him, recognized the presence that haunted his memories.
Anakin, so consumed by your failures, you've become more machine than man.
His words were deliberate, aimed to unsettle Vader, to remind him of the path he had chosen and the cost it had exacted on his soul. Vader, unmoved by Mace's provocation, signaled to the crowd.
Reveal yourself,
he commanded, his voice deep and resonant through his mask. It was then that the traitor among Mace's ranks stepped forward, a figure who had once stood alongside them as a brother in arms. The betrayal stung, not just for Mace, but for all who trusted and fought alongside the defector. The traitor, now donning the position of an Inquisitor, stood beside Vader, a stark symbol of the dark path that awaited those who succumbed to the lure of power and the dark side. The revelation sent ripples of shock and betrayal through Mace's group, but it also galvanized them. They knew what they were fighting fighting against, the very embodiment of the corruption and the fall from grace that the Empire represented. Mace, locking eyes with Vader, knew this confrontation was inevitable.
This ends now.
Survived Part 2. What if Mace Windu survived Part 2? If you haven't seen Part 1, be sure to check it out before continuing. Mace Windu and his team of Jedi stood defiantly before Vader, a momentary silence falling over the battlefield as each side gauged each other. Mace, ever the strategist, was assessing the situation, trying to predict Vader's next move. However, the tension was shattered by the impulsive charge of his apprentice, Davin. With a heart full of courage, but lacking the patience and wisdom of his master, Davin dashed towards Vader, lightsaber ignited and a cry of determination on his lips. Mace yelled out, "Davin, no!" But his warning came too late. Vader, with a mere flick of his wrist, ensnared Davin in the Force grip, lifting him into the air. The sight was harrowing. Davin, struggling for breath, his body tense with resistance until the cruel twist of Vader's hand silenced him forever. The reality of loss sinking into the hearts of Mace and his team. Davin's body was discarded like a broken doll, a stark, grim reminder of the power they faced. Vader turned his cold gaze towards Mace, then issued a command to his newly appointed Inquisitor.
Lead the stormtroopers. Eliminate the Jedi.
His order, his voice devoid of emotion. His intent was clear. He sought to isolate Mace, to engage him away from the support of his team. The Inquisitors, eager to prove their newfound allegiance to the dark side, led the stormtroopers forward, igniting their own lightsaber as they moved to carry out Vader's orders. The battle erupted anew, Mace's Jedi engaging the stormtroopers with a fierce determination. Despite their skills and the strength of their spirit, the overwhelming numbers of the Empire began to tell. They fought valiantly, each Jedi a whirlwind of lightsaber strikes and force pushes, but the relentless advance of stormtroopers pressed them back. Meanwhile, Mace and Vader approached each other, a circle of emptiness forming around them as if the battlefield acknowledged the significance of their duel.
So we meet again, Anakin. The circle is now complete.
Anakin Skywalker was weak. I destroyed him.
Then I will avenge the Jedi you slaughtered, Anakin, and the Republic you helped to topple.
Mace retorted, igniting his lightsaber, its purple blade a stark contrast to Vader's red. The duel between Mace Windu and Darth Vader intensified, their blades clashing with a ferocity that echoed through the battlefield. Mace, utilizing the full extent of his mastery over Vaapad, channeled the dark energy emanating from Vader, turning it back against him. This unique form, which allowed Mace to feed off the darkness of his opponents, gave him a distinct advantage against users of the dark side. It was this very technique that allowed him to defeat Palpatine years ago, and now Mace aimed to repeat history against the Sith Lord's apprentice. As the fight progressed, Mace's agility and experience became evident. He moved with a precision and grace that belied his age, his every strike and parry a testament to his deep connection to the Force. Vader, powerful as he was, found himself being gradually outmaneuvered, his heavy, mechanical movements just slightly outmatched by Mace's fluid tactics. Reminded of the fateful confrontation with Palpatine, Mace spoke.
I defeated your master all those years ago, and now his apprentice will fall to the same fate.
Vader, enraged by the mention of his master and the reminder of his past, unleashed a torrent of power. His attacks became more aggressive, more desperate, but Mace, centered and unyielding, absorbed and redirected this aggression, his mastery of Vaapad turning Vader's own strength against him. The turning point came when Mace executed a series of swift maneuvers that left Vader exposed. With a precise strike, Mace severed Vader's mechanical arm, the one wielding his lightsaber, effectively disarming him. As Vader recoiled, Mace extended his hand, using the Force to grasp Vader's breathing apparatus, the mechanical system that allowed the Sith Lord to breathe. With a crushing force, Mace began to compress the device, Vader's respiration turning to labored gasps as he fell to his knees, weakened and vulnerable. As Mace prepared to deliver the final blow, a culmination of years of struggle and pain, his moment of victory was abruptly halted. The traitor among his ranks, the one who had turned his back on the Jedi teachings and aligned with the Empire, intervened. With a sudden burst of speed and force, the traitor launched themselves at Mace, their attack fueled by betrayal and the dark side. Caught off guard by this betrayal, Mace was forced to redirect his focus, engaging the traitor in a desperate struggle. The brief distraction was all Vader needed. Gasping and clutching his damaged breathing apparatus, the Sith Lord used this moment to summon the remnants of his strength and retreat, leaving Mace to contend with the immediate threat posed by the traitor. In the heat of the battle, with betrayal slicing through the air as sharply as any lightsaber, Mace Windu found himself facing the traitor of his newly found order. The fight was intense, a swirling maelstrom of light against dark. The duel was swift and brutal. Mace, despite the emotional turmoil of fighting one he had once considered an ally, did not hesitate. The traitor's skill, but no match for Mace's mastery and experience, was ultimately overwhelmed. With a decisive move, Mace ended the confrontation, the traitor falling by his hand. It was a moment of profound sadness and resolve. Another loss, another fall to the dark side, but a necessary action to prevent further betrayal. With the traitor defeated, Mace turned his attention back to the remainder of his Jedi, who were still engaged in a fierce battle against the stormtroopers. The clash was desperate, the air filled with the hum of lightsabers, the whine of blaster fire, and the cries of the fallen. Mace, determined to reach his comrades, found his path blocked by an overwhelming number of stormtroopers. Despite his best efforts, the sheer numbers against him made it clear he could not break through. Reluctantly, Mace made the difficult decision to retreat, using his formidable command of the Force to cover his escape. The aftermath was devastating. The Empire, ruthless in its pursuit of eradication of the Jedi, left no survivors. Every single Jedi who had stood against them, inspired by Mace's visions and teachings, was slain. The clearing that had once echoed with the ideals of hope and resistance now laid silent. Mace Windu, now in hiding, was forced to confront a harsh reality of his choices and the consequences they wrought. The loss of his entire group, the potential of those lives cut short, weighed heavily on him. Mace Windu found himself journeying to a distant world in the Outer Rims, a place.
Well, his second order, I guess, didn't last that long, I'm gonna guess. Literally. The first one lasted generations, but his second order did not last that long.
Far removed from the watchful eyes of the Empire. This desolate, forgotten world, with its harsh landscape and unforgiving environment, mirrored the turmoil within Mace's own heart. The anger and grief from the massacre of his followers consumed him, fueling a desire for vengeance that overshadowed the principles he had once held dear. Isolated and grappling with the weight of his failures, Mace was forced to confront the dark emotions that threatened to engulf him. The path of vengeance he now contemplated was antithetical to the teachings of the Jedi, yet the desire for retribution seemed the only way to honor the memory of those who had fallen. The quiet of the desolate world allowed Mace the solitude to reflect deeply on his next steps. He realized that his quest for vengeance, while understandable, was the path led to the dark side. In a daring, calculated move, Mace Windu traveled to Naboo, intentionally leaking his whereabouts to draw out Vader. Consumed by a singular desire for vengeance, Mace was determined to confront and eliminate the very symbol of the Empire's tyranny and the personal embodiment of his greatest betrayal, Vader himself. Vader, driven by pride in the relentless pursuit to extinguish the remnants of the Jedi Order, took the bait. He arrived on Naboo, a planet haunted by the ghost of his past life as Anakin Skywalker. Now those memories were now shrouded in darkness, his former identity all but erased by the dark side's corrupting embrace. The confrontation between Mace and Vader on the verdant plains of Naboo was charged with a palpable intensity. Mace, fueled by his anger and his weight of his loss, met Vader with a ferocious resolve. This was more than a duel. It was the culmination of years of pain, loss, and the burning need for retribution. As their lightsabers clashed, the air around them crackled with energy of their combat. Mace, tapping into the dark side, fueled aggression that Vader unleashed, found his attacks empowered by his own anger and thirst for vengeance. He utilized Vapod again to his fullest extent. The battle would reach its zenith as Mace, driven by overwhelming need for vengeance, found a fatal opening. Giving into his anger that had consumed him, he struck Vader down, ending the life of the once promising Jedi Knight turned Sith Lord. As Vader's body lay still, Mace felt a momentary surge of satisfaction, a hollow victory in the wake of such profound loss. Immediately after the fall of Vader, the false sense of victory that Mace Windu might have felt was shattered by the chilling development. The night air on Naboo, already heavy with the outcome of their duel, crackled with a new, sinister energy. Around him, multiple red lightsabers ignited, casting an ominous glow and enclosing Mace in a circle of imminent threat. Then, cutting through the tension, a laugh resonated from the shadows, a laugh that Mace recognized all too well. It was Palpatine. Emerging from the darkness, Palpatine's presence filled the space with malevolence.
Well done, Master Windu. You have given into your anger, embraced it to kill Vader. My apprentice was weak, after all.
Mace, surrounded and facing the very architect of the galaxy's downfall, felt a surge of defiance. Palpatine's offer was clear, a twisted invitation to join him, to replace the fallen Vader at his side. But Mace, even in this moment of dire isolation, refused without hesitation. Palpatine, unfazed by the refusal, simply gestured to the circle of Inquisitors. Each a formidable foe trained in the dark side launched their assault. Mace, standing alone against them, tapped into every reserve of strength and training. He moved with a desperate, fierce precision, his lightsaber blurred as he defended against the onslaught. One by one, he managed to pick off the Inquisitor as a testament to his skill and power. But Palpatine was no idle specter. With malicious intent, he intervened, unleashing torrents of Force lightning and augmenting the attack against Mace. The tide turned rapidly. Mace was outnumbered and outmatched, not just by his adversaries, but by the overwhelming power of the dark side that Palpatine wielded. Mace fought valiantly, his lightsaber cutting through the air, dispatching foe after foe. Yet, for each Inquisitor he felled, another seemed ready to take their place. Palpatine's laughter echoed around him, a constant reminder of the futility of his resistance. In the end, despite his prowess and determination, Mace Windu was overwhelmed. The combined might of the Inquisitors and Palpatine's direct attacks proved too much. Mace took down as many as he could, a whirlwind of light in the encroaching darkness, but it was not enough. As he fell, struck down by the very forces he had sought to destroy, Mace Windu's last thoughts were of the Jedi Order, of the principles he had strived to uphold, and of the hope the others might succeed where he had failed. Palpatine's triumph sneer was the last thing he saw, a final testament to the darkness that had consumed the galaxy. Mace Windu's fall marked the end of one of the last great Jedi of the Old Order, a warrior who had been consumed by his quest for vengeance, only to be extinguished by the overwhelming might of the dark side. His legacy, however, would live on, a cautionary tale of the dangers giving in to the anger and enduring struggle between the light and the dark.
I'll share that. And the part 2. Bye for now, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And yeah, I'll share that. And again, I have the channel in the description below, so you can check out the original video. And I would say in the beginning of the video, which I will not say in part 2, but since I didn't stop the video and then made a new video, I just continue recording. So part 1 and 2 are now together in this video. But yeah, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, And again, I'll have the channel, Star Wars Kingdoms channel, in the description below. So you can check out this video, videos for yourself, part 1 and 2. Bye for now, I'll see you guys next time. See ya.